Welcome to another Fingernail Fixer video. I had a great design that was brought in by one of my awesome clients, and I have a gal that has had enhancements done in another salon, and we're just going to shellac right over the top of these enhancements. I'm just scrub freshing the top of them to get them nice and clean. And remember that when you're doing shellac over enhancements, you do not need to use a base coat. You do still need to scrub fresh them, however, and make sure that you are scrubbing like you mean it. The nails need to be nice and clean all the way around the edges and across the ends. The first color that I'm going to come in with for this design is Bow. Make sure that it's really well shaken vigorously, a good 20 to 30 seconds. And then we're going to apply a nice thin layer. Notice how much I clean off the brush to make it easier to accomplish a thin layer. And we're just going to do that thin layer of Bow over the entire enhancement. And just like when doing natural nails, go ahead and seal the edge. Oh, it's nice if there's not a giant fuzzy in it, huh? So we'll come back and smooth that out where the fuzzy's been and work on the next nail. And you'll go ahead and go through and apply the Bow to all 5 nails, cure for 2 minutes while you're applying Bow to the other 5. Then we'll move into the next step. After the Bow has cured for 2 minutes, you want to come in and add your French with the cream puff. It's important to clean your brush off really well to get that nice thin French. Pull the skin out of your way so you're not going to have to clean it up. Find your corner, come down and across. Pull the skin out of the way on the other side. Find your corner and come down and across. Seal your edge, and then flatten out your brush a little bit so you can come in and just smooth down any excess, which also fills in any low spots. And do this on all 5 nails, and then we'll come back in and clean them all up at the same time. Once you have your cream puff applied to all 5 nails, go ahead and come in with your gel brush, wipe it through some alcohol to make it flexible, but then dry it off so you don't get bubbles in your smile line, and crisp your smile line up. Remember, when you're doing French, it's important that you've done a layer of pink before you do the white so that you don't wipe away base coat. On enhancements, you could of course skip the layer of pink since you would not need to use base coat. But I like the look of the slight shimmer of Bow for the background for this design. Once I've crisped the smile line from each side, I go in and make sure that the white doesn't come all the way to the edge so that I'm able to seal it with top coat and the corners of the French don't chip. Once you've cleaned up all 5 nails, cure for 2 minutes. After we have cured the French manicure for 2 minutes, we're ready to come in and do the detail work of the flowers. I like to go ahead and cure the French manicure so that the client or you doesn't have the opportunity to mess it up while you're trying to work on the flowers. I have a larger detail brush, and I'm using cream puff on the detail brush to create the flowers. The petals are a backwards teardrop. So I'm just going to start in and create the ball of the teardrop and then come out. Not worrying that the coloration is perfect because I want it to be nice and thin so that it won't wrinkle. So I'm just kind of going over that to make sure it's thin. And I want the shape to be nice, but you'll perfect it when you outline it with the black. Then I'm going to do the center petal. Again, starting with the bottom of the teardrop shape. Now, I'm not taking it all the way to the side because I'm going to have the center of the flower there. So I'm just going to create the ball for the teardrop and come around and out. Brush in the ball, come around and out. And again, we want this nice and thin so that the white will not wrinkle. So your coloration is not going to be perfect. I'm just gently bringing that out to a tip. There's no need to take the third petal all the way down into the French manicure. So I'm just going to do the part that it needs, because the rest will be defined when I come in and outline with the black. So we have a nice thin layer of white to create the outline of the petals. This is the ring finger. I'm going to do the opposite on the middle finger so it looks like the second half of the same flower. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of that white. Make sure not to overly load your brush or it can make it difficult to get the white thin. I'm going to set that down and create the ball of the teardrop and come out. Then the one in the middle, the ball of the teardrop, and come out. And since the first one was a little bit thick, I'm actually going to dip into the first petal to get more white to finish the second one. And I'm not worrying if they touch each other because we'll clarify that when we outline with black. My main concern is that the petals are nice and thin so they don't wrinkle. Then I'm going to do just the part of this third one that I need to, and the rest of it will be clarified with the outline in the French using the black. So we have the two parts of the flower facing each other, and we'll cure that for 2 minutes. If you want to, you can do one coat of the white and leave it with that kind of streaky look for artistic purposes. If you want your white to have that really stark contrast against the black, you will want to go ahead and come in and do a second very thin layer of the white to just fill in those spots and give it the full color. And I'm just using the same art brush that I used before. Again, doing it very thin so that the white will not wrinkle. And once I've laid on that second layer of white, I'm going to cure for 2 minutes. Keep in mind, if you do a design that takes this kind of extra cure times as well as this kind of extra application time, that you really need to be charging what you're worth. So I'll just go ahead and finish filling in that thin second layer of white. And oops, I just put a big blob on the end as I was coming in with my brush. Oh no, whatever will I do? The world is going to come to an end. I just messed up my nail art. Were this polish, you would be in trouble. Since it's shellac, I'm going to take a little bit of alcohol, wipe my gel brush through the alcohol, and then dry my gel brush off and come in and just wipe off that little blob that I accidentally laid down. And it's like it was never there. And I'm going to cure these for 2 minutes. Once you're finished curing the white, we're going to come in with whatever color you would like for the center of the flower. I'm just using a stylus, the little metal ball on the end of the metal stick, and kind of doing a little half circle, which we will come in and define later with the black outline. This particular person is obsessed with pink, So they would like, even though the design is meant to be a stark contrast of black and white, they would like a little bit of pink in it. So I'm going to put a tiny bit of pink on a detail brush and just come in and sweep that through some of the white, which I will break up later with the black, just so that she gets that pink accent that makes her happy. And as you can see, I'm doing it really thin, so it's almost like a blush of pink in the center of the flower. You could use any color that you wanted to for that. Once you have the center of the flower and the optional accent in all of your flowers, you could cure for 2 minutes. Now we're ready for the final part of this design, which is then the detailing. I'm using a very small detailing brush, and I'm going to use black pool. And instead of getting some black pool just on the very tip of the brush, I'm actually wiping some black pool up the brush a little bit, which makes it easier to draw lines. I'm going to come in, and I find that you have better luck drawing smooth lines if you start in one corner and come down to the center. And get just a little more black on my brush. And go back over that, starting in the corner and coming down to the center. And with just this design, it actually has the lines from the detail coming down into the French. So I'm going to come down and then swipe through the white. Then repeat from the other side. So turn the nail, come down from the corner, meet in your center, and swipe through the white. Then take a stylus and create small dots. And instead of using the end of the stylus with the ball on the end, I'm actually using the end of the stylus that doesn't have a ball, so I can get extremely small dots. And just put different sizes of dots all over the two sides, with the larger dots starting in the corner. This is the design for the pinky, the pointer, and the thumb. On the flower fingers, we're going to come in and detail the flowers. So I'm going to get some black on the brush and then come in and outline the half circle for the center. Again, it's easier not to try and do it all in one stroke. You seem to have a little more control. Then I'm going to outline the petals. Got a little too much on my brush. I'm going to make sure that's not a ball on the end. And come in and outline the petal right from the center of the flower, going out around the thick part of the petal and coming up to the tip. The other side is going to do the same thing. Start right at the center of the flower and come up and out to the tip. Then flip your brush around and create a point and lightly feather some of your black down into the white, and that's what gives you those really defined, stark tips. Notice that I'm feathering the black a little further down on the sides than in the center. Then inside each petal, I'm going to do very tiny lines to give that folded petal look. It's difficult to get really small lines with a brush unless you have a very, very small brush. So what I do is draw the lines and then come in with my stylus and cut through them to make them even smaller. And then you have very tiny detailed lines. So we're going to come in and do that to the rest of the petals, starting in the center, coming up and out to the point, center, up and out to the point, and then get a little bit of black on your brush so that you can set it down and really get a good point, and come down and feather that black in to create that detailed look on the tip. See how it's really giving you that contrast? Last petal, center, out to the tip, center, and out to the tip, and then turning that brush around and creating that point, feathering in that detail, coming further down on the sides than in the center. And don't forget to put your little center lines in each of the petals for the detail. And then you can just use a stylus to cut through them and make them thinner. Then we're going to cap off the detail of the French on the flowered fingers. So we're going to trace the line of the French. And in the design it actually has that sloped off piece like the other fingers, so we're just going to come in and create that. And then put the dots with the stylus in that second side because there's flower in the opposite side. If you want to, you can add leaves. You can either do leaves coming from this corner, you can create them with lines, or you can create them with dots. You can also do leaves coming from here, create them with lines, or create them with dots. On this one, I'm going to come in, because of the shape this flower ended up being, and create the leaf, here. And instead of actually filling in the leaf and having really solid lines, the picture of the design that my client brought in, they had used dots for detail inside the leaf. And it actually adds to the contrast and the starkness of the design. So you can see just how much outlining and detailing that in black adds to the nail. Have fun, enjoy the design, cure the black 2 minutes, top coat 2 minutes, and you're good to go. Make sure you charge what you're worth. Thanks for watching.